Hello and welcome to the Cyberden, your weekly dose of tech and games. I, Jake, will be chatting with veteran video game composer Frank Klepacki, better known as the composer behind the iconic real-time strategy series Command and Conquer. Thanks for coming, mate.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Frank, please tell everyone listening what inspired you to become a composer.
Well, I've been both a huge fan of video games and music for as long as I can remember. I was hooked in the early '80s with the old arcade games, of the era, like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong and all that good stuff. And my parents were both musicians. They were always in different groups and performing in the various Las Vegas casinos. And was just always around that environment. So eventually I was feeling inspired enough to want to learn an instrument myself. So when I was 8 years old, I started playing drums. Immediately, I took lessons for about a year, and to the point where I was able to start performing live since I was 11, and was performing professionally since then. And by the time I was in high school, I figured out that when I was trying to get into bands with friends and try to write original songs or original rock music, I wasn't being able to communicate with them very well. I would have an idea for a song and I just couldn't relay it. That forced me to and motivated me to learn how to play guitar and keyboards. And I really was interested in recording studios and started writing my own stuff. I was trying to program in basic language in my PC, music playing back to me that I thought would be fun, and that kind of put me on that path.
You've composed for many games out there, some based on the Star Wars series, others based on the sci-fi Dune series. But as we know, you are best known as the composer for the Command and Conquer series, created by Westwood Studios. So how exactly did you get the job?
I was introduced to the company by Lewis Castle, who is my cousin, and he, got me in as a game tester. It was sort of like my part-time summer job, and that just really wowed me and opened my eyes to this development process that I just thought was so cool. I was walking around the office all the time, and then I would go, hang out with the programmers and ask them what they were doing and how they got stuff to work, and because at the same time I'm testing the games, at the same time I'm very interested in the process. I'm interested how this is all coming together, and I was just very enamored with it all. And then, of course, getting to the audio part of it, I got to meet the audio director and took interest in what he was doing. And around that time, I eventually just gravitated towards the audio part of things. The audio director told me, based on the demos that I played for him and kind of the skill set that I had, I was definitely ahead of my time for my age. I had already had a lot of experience performing and recording, getting into writing. So he gave me a trial period to kind of prove myself using some of their tools and creating some music. And I just took to it right away and was on the path to becoming their full-time composer. So it was really cool. And working on the Command and Conquer game was a lot of fun too. When we got to working on that is when we were first getting into digital streaming audio for the music, and it was a great opportunity to have the music sound the way that it was being composed. I was using real guitar and, just really trying to make the quality as good as we could. We did a powwow on the styles of music and had creative freedom to explore and make a lot of different diverse themes that ended up really working well in the game.
You've even done your fair share of voice acting as well, like me. Why did you want to give it a crack?
I always would run around and doing different voices and impersonations all the time, ever since I was a kid. And, I was just really into like cartoons, animated series and movies and I just had a gravitation to imitate everything. And a lot of times I did it just to get a laugh out of people and just joke around. But eventually I kind of took it more seriously when I, started figuring out what I was capable of. And in the video game industry, we do a lot of what we call temporary voiceover or stub voiceover, where we just kind of pull people from around the company to say the lines that we're going to have in the game, and just to prove that it works and make sure that it functions correctly in the game before we replace it later with the final voice actors that we hire. But in the earlier days, a lot of times, if the people did a good enough performance, we would just keep that in the game. So we were, using our own voices and having a bit of fun with it and doing it seriously, for games like Command and Conquer and all of those. I mean, I was the voice of the commando in Command and Conquer, so I was, the guy running around going, "I got a present for you," and all that kind of stuff.
I've got pretty fond memories of the Commando from the Command and Conquer series. I just love hearing his quirky little quips as he blows up an enemy base or starts sniping people from afar. I always thought, when I was little, man, that guy's cool.
Yeah, he had all the one-liners and little quips that were fun.
Now, you've got some pretty strong opinions against mainstream music and the like, Frank. Please, explain why so?
Well, yeah, I've definitely been vocal about that in the past, and it's been really just music is an important part of culture of anyone around the world. I mean, we all have, different music that we like or genres that we like, and it's really a common bond that connects us all. And I find it important for that reason. And so when it gets homogenized by cookie cutter clone groups that capitalize on something that's successful, and a lot of the times the record labels that are enforcing that because they just want to kind of cash in on whatever's happening at the time. And the people that start a style or start a unique spin on something are pioneering that, and of course are going to be more successful over time and have more longevity than the people that come after the fact and try to just copy it to make a buck on it. And so I generally just wish that would lessen up and people would just feel free to be more original. And that's where a lot of independent artists that you find in and around the internet and have the ability now to distribute themselves through iTunes and the like. I really champion that because the more diversity and creativity that we can get out of people that really appreciate and enjoy music, the better. Companies like MTV, for example, when they first started, it was a cool idea because you could see who the artists were and they would play every kind of music genre and in different videos. But then at the height of their popularity, they really limited it. They force feed you the same stuff 3 months at a time. It's very much controlled by the record labels in terms of what they want to promote and pay to promote in whatever way and loophole they can find. And so then it became more about image and creating things to talk about that you're seeing rather than what you're hearing. And now MTV is a glorified just reality station, reality channel that shows a bunch of teenagers and 20-somethings hooking up and getting drunk. So it's it's not, the video thing is probably not as important anymore as it once was for that reason. And but everything is on a on-demand basis now. People can just go to YouTube if they want to see a video badly enough. Otherwise, people are more content to just listen to the music now and discover new music based on these different services that are out, which I think is really cool. So I just champion that sort of thing and want more of that.
Frank, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for coming to this interview.
You're welcome, man.
And of course, I'd just like to thank my wonderful listeners out there for tuning into this great interview here on the CyberDad, your weekly dose of tech and games. See you later, Frank. Thanks for coming.
Right on. Thank you, Jake.